Coming up this morning on the Dattitude podcast, we have talked the Saints quarterback situation to death. And while there's no avoiding it, we're going to try and focus on something else. Are we going to keep it positive? If I told you probably not, would you stay and listen anyway? Well, some of it will be positive as we talk about Kelvin Banks and where he might line up going to the team's rookie mini camp this weekend. We're going to focus mainly on not just who Tyler Shough will be throwing to this weekend, but to whom either Shough or Derek Carr will be throwing to this fall. The Dallas Cowboys made a deal late last night with Pittsburgh Steelers for wide receiver George Pickens, and it got us to thinking, what's left in free agency for the Saints at the position they so desperately need to upgrade? We'll talk about that and whatever else you want to get into this morning. And it's coming up next on the Dattitude podcast.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.
Where you at, Dattitude family? Everybody staying dry out there? I hear the rumbling and groaning and moaning outside the studio here. It sounds like it's been lightning for about 24 hours straight. It was some look. I know we need the rain here, and I'm not going to complain about it. But man, we went from dry as a bone to, I mean, it's getting nasty out there. What's it like where you live? I know not everybody is in and around the New Orleans metro area. We'll talk to you this morning, whatever you want to say. It's going to be a Mono-E Wednesday. I reached out to one person. They couldn't come. I actually reached out to two people. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But reached out to Eric Asher. He wasn't available this morning. And I said, you know what? I kind of was thinking about I told you this Monday. I was kind of thinking about having a Mono-E Wednesday anyway. There's no show on Friday. We'll get to that in a minute as well. So you know what? It's going to be just me and you all week long. How about that? Sounds good to me. But just stay dry. Stay dry. You know what is never dry, though? Dattitude. Especially today on episode number 371 presented by Evangeline Securities for a Wednesday, May the 7th, 2025. I am your host, Jim Derry. Nearly 35 years on the New Orleans sports media scene. I thank you for being a part of this ever-growing Dattitude family. The YouTube page is growing every single day. We thank you for helping it do that. I'm trying to do more shorts, more TikToks, little blips of the show, highlights of the show. I can't always get to them. Maybe I'll get to them this week because I have a little bit more time. It has been a crazy, crazy few weeks. Ever since really 2 weeks before the draft. That's when it started. So almost a month ago now. It's when it really started picking up and we get ready for the draft show and then we had to talk about the draft. We're still talking about the draft. I'm trying to get off the quarterback subject. I know we'll probably talk about it a little bit this morning, but I don't think I've ever seen, and I'm not exaggerating when I say ever. I know a lot of people say ever. It's the greatest thing ever or whatever. I hate when people say that. But in the 4 or 5 year history of this 4-year history of this podcast, it'll be 4 years. So it's not even 4 years. It's the season number 5. It will be 4 years in September since we started in 2021. But in the almost 4-year history of this podcast, I don't think I've ever seen a more polarizing subject than when I even mentioned Derek Carr. I mean, again, that's not what this show is going to be about necessarily. It's going to come up. You can't have a show right now. You can simply not have a show, not even a Saints show. You can't have a sports show about anything in Southeast Louisiana or Southern Louisiana that doesn't mention Derek Carr at some point, unless you're just, this is the LSU Insider podcast, or Matt Moscona can do it because that's what he talks about LSU. But you can't have a radio show. No show around here, even if you're not Saints 100%, you just can't. That's what you talk about. So it's going to come up today. I know it is, but we're going to try to focus on some other things. You see the topics if you're looking at the screen. If you're not, If you're listening to the podcast after the fact, we thank you for doing so. You can watch us normally live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, mainly on our YouTube channel. You can find us on Facebook, as some of you have out there, live 11 a.m. Or after the fact, wherever you get your podcast. But today, as I do each day on Pregame Chat, we're going to talk about a few things here this morning before we get to the crux of the show. But what's left at receiver? And thanks to Gabe Henderson for giving me an idea, because I got to be honest. I'm like, I can't do another show just talking about the Saints quarterback situation. I just can't do it. I mean, again, we could talk about it somewhat, but I can't have a whole show on that. It's just, and I know that's what a lot of crowds want to hear, and it gets the ratings up and blah, 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 but I just can't do it. So we're going to talk about the receiver situation. George Pickens to the Cowboys from the Steelers. And another piece of this pie, not just the fact that, the Saints are out there. What are they going to do at receiver? Because they got to do something. But another piece of this is this trade. I want to talk about this trade for a second. And maybe it'll open some eyes to people. We always talk about what you might get in return for a trade. And people say, just trade Kamara or Taysom Hill or whatever, and you'll get blah, blah, blah. Just goes to prove what you won't get what you think you're going to get when I tell you the details of this trade, if you don't know already. We're going to talk about rookie camp. Obviously, Tyler Shough's going to be the focus at the camp. Who's he going to throw to? We'll talk about that. The undrafted free agents that the Saints have picked up that we never really got to. What about Kelvin Banks? Where's Kelvin Banks going to play in this rookie free agent camp? Not rookie free agent camp. The rookie camp, mini camp this weekend. It's really interesting to me because I'm guessing he's going to play tackle in the camp. Okay. But how long is it going to take for us to find out where he's going to go? We have not done, because of all this quarterback crap, we have not talked nearly enough about Kelvin Banks, who is clearly to me, the signature piece of this draft. Not just because he was the 9th pick of the draft, but because I believe he's going to be a stalwart on this offensive line barring injury for a long time. I think he's as good a pick. And again, time will tell whether we're right. It's easy to say that it's like picking a favorite to win a game, although if you do that in the NBA, you're not going to win. But I just think that Banks is going to be the best player on this line, maybe even better than Eric McCoy. Fuaga was a great pick last year. Anyway, that's going to be the story to me. Obviously, it's going to be the unsung story because all we're going to talk about for the next few months is quarterback. So we're trying to stay away from that as much as we can today. What else we got this morning? Man, before I get into the whole spiel, there are some other things we can talk about here in the pregame chat portion. I know that today's Wednesday, but today was Monday for me. I mean, Monday had so much going on. I don't know if I got up and I was like ready to go and I knew what I want the show to be about. I had everything written. I did it all Sunday night. The title slide was done Sunday night. The script, what script I wrote, I didn't even need to write a lot of script. It was all done on Sunday night. I was ready to go Monday morning. Last night, I had no energy whatsoever. I couldn't get anything going last night. I'm like, I'll just figure it out in the morning. Woke up this morning, didn't want to get up. Kids didn't want to get up. It was a little. I'd be lying if I said there weren't a few loud voices. I mean, one kid's got to be at the bus stop at 7:46, and let's just say at 7:47 she was running out the door with her shoes in her hand, trying to put them on as she was running. And then the other kid is supposed to be out the door at 7:55. At 7:54, I'm like, what is going on? I don't have to be out until 7:55. I'm like, well, it's 7:54. Just couldn't get going this morning. And then thanks to Gabe Henderson again, coming up with a great idea for today's show. And I'll be transparent. We didn't come up with it until probably. I mean, I don't think I made the title. I don't think I finished the title slide until about 9:50 this morning. So an hour and 20 minutes ago. Just one of those kind of days. But anyway, it's just us, and we're going to talk this morning. If you haven't already, and I see I got some comments in the queue. I'll get to them in a minute. You can be a part of the show. You know how to do it. You type in your comment whether you watch it on YouTube or Facebook. Was today? Maybe it's the weather. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's dreary, and it hasn't been dreary and nasty like this in a while. Maybe that's part of it. Did it get you down this morning? Have you had a problem getting up today? Was it more like Monday than Wednesday? I don't know. Doesn't feel like hump day. It feels like I'm just starting the week. Give us a comment. Whether you watch it on YouTube, Facebook, and if you're watching on YouTube especially, thumbs up. Give us the like. They say it. There's they again. They say it helps the algorithm. I don't know what an algorithm is. Way past my capabilities. But whatever it is, they say it helps it. And we like helping it. So you help me. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe. They say so smash. My daughter used to smash that subscribe button. Click the little bell, whatever. You know what to do. You get in touch with me on X, Jim Derry Jr., or via email at jderry@theadvocate.com. Again, we're going to get to the comments in just a minute. I want to talk real quick about the NBA. Why? Because it's the first time in NBA history that all road teams have won an opener in the second round. That had been a pretty money line parlay. Rod Walker and Zach were a little text group last night, and Rod, I didn't even realize it because I wasn't watching it. I don't even remember what I was watching last night. Oh, Cubs. I was watching the Cubs allowed 9 runs in the 11th. Cubs fight all the way back, get in extra innings, and then lose 14-5 in the 11th. Yeah. So I was watching that. He tells me that the T-Wolves were down by 20. I go and look, and the Warriors were only like, I don't know, a little over 3-1 to win. I'm like, that's free money. And then I found out Steph was hurt. I'm like, I don't care. It's still free money. It wouldn't have been free money if you bet like that on the Cleveland Cavaliers last night, who were up by 20 in the third. They were up by 7 with 48 seconds left. They have no idea what the odds were. In case you didn't see it and you're living under a rock, you don't watch sports highlights, or you don't care about the NBA, go find it. It's worth watching. The Cavaliers completely collapsed. It's not one of these. It's one you just don't see very often. And then they're up by 2 with 12 seconds left. Tyrese Halliburton goes to the line. He makes the first one. He misses the second one. I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but he's able to go up the lane and get his own rebound on a free throw, down by 1. Dribbles back behind the three-point line and hits a 3. And the Pacers win it. Crazy. Again, Cavaliers collapse. They got to be really down in Cleveland. I mean, you worked this hard. Remember, what were they, like 45-7 at one point in the season? And then they're dangerously close. They're going to Indiana in a deep hole. Probably never thought that was going to happen. Certainly didn't think that was going to happen when they were up 20. So anyway. And then last thing I want to talk about before I get to the Saints in the comments and at least talk about this, get into this Cowboys trade. There is absolutely something absurd. And this goes to show what kind of world, not just sports world, what kind of world we're living in today. I got this text yesterday. I didn't even know whether to believe it at first, but I looked at it. Yeah, it's true. It's true. It came first from MSNBC, and then later I found it on Bleacher Report. Jordan Rubin of MSNBC reported a man named John Doe in a complaint. Have y'all heard about this? Has sued the NFL and alleged that he suffered, quote, emotional distress and trauma because Shedeur Sanders didn't go into the 5th round of the Cleveland Browns. He has identified himself as a Colorado football fan and it's seeking $100 million, $100 million in damages. He also claimed that the quote, and this is from Bleacher Report, rumors circulating around the Buffalo's quarterback before the draft, quote, contributed to a narrative that has unjustly harmed the reputation and potential as a player. What does that have to do with you, pal? You're a Colorado football fan. My question is this. If this dude wins this lawsuit, what in the hell could Saints fans possibly get? If this dude gets $100 million anywhere in the ballpark because Shedeur, he's upset and hurt because Shedeur Sanders went to the 5th round, what could Saints fans get for a lifetime of misery except for 1 year? Huh? Hell, to think what I could have sued for back in the Ditka days. Could have made bank. I wouldn't have a show today because I'd be living off of whatever money for my emotional distress of watching the 1997, 98, and 99 Saints. Think of those 3 years. If you can get $100 million because your favorite player slipped to the 5th round, what can you get for watching a lifetime worth of ain'ts? You got to get something good. Got me riled up. Maybe I will be fired up today. Who the hell knows? All right, today's comments. We're going to talk about it again. Thanks to Gabe for giving me some inspiration this morning. Have you heard about it? This is going to be kind of the as we fly into what's going on the show. By the way, the rest of the show today, man versus machine. Gabe is not here. Gabe gave me a suggestion, but I went rogue on my own. I went rogue, and yeah, got my own pick, man versus machine. And the last word today. There is a team somewhere in this state, if you haven't heard about it, because I hadn't heard about it, 51-0. That's right. Last word today, 51-0. In fact, I sent out an email yesterday, got one back this morning. I know he's a busy man. Coach Brandin Neffendorf is going to come on this show most likely. It'd probably be a recorded segment. But who is Brandin Neffendorf? He coaches LSU Shreveport. That's right, LSU Shreveport. That is today's last word. How do you go 51-0 in baseball? And they haven't just gone 51-0 in baseball. I'm telling you, you're going to want to stick around for this last word because it's way more than just that. But even if it was just that, I want to go through some of their games this year. How the hell does any baseball team on the planet go 51-0? That is today's last word. But we got other things to talk about today. We're going to talk about the Saints. We got comments galore. Before we get to the comments, before we get to the rest of the show, before we get to our friends out there in Datland, we got to get to our friends at Evangeline Securities. Of course, they're a company that can help you decide if it's the right time to sell your family-run or privately held business. And just as importantly, they can figure out what that business is worth. If that's you or someone you know, it's time to reach out to Evangeline's founding and managing partners, Nick Brandin and Ron Hemelt. They will not sue anyone if their favorite player gets dropped to the fifth round. I promise you. That's not who they are. No, they would rather schedule a complimentary valuation for you and your company from their offices, either at Pointer Street or in Lafayette. And from there, you would be well informed and begin to make the decision on if you want to proceed. What happens after that? Well, you'll have to wait a little bit. We'll fill you in more later in the show after we talk about Saints wide receiver possibilities, Saints rookie mini camp, whatever the hell you want to call it. In the meantime, you can check them out at www.evangelinesecurities.com. Time to go to the comment stream. I know we got a lot of them here. Maybe they'll be more positive. I have not looked. Maybe they'll be more positive since I'm not talking about, that dude that wears number 4. Mark Gapsky, good morning. Who dat? Chad Gage, good morning. Hope everybody's staying dry. It's not easy. UBN, I'm sure he's stirring a pot somewhere. Who's going to be throwing to the new receiver if they get one? Not talking about it on this show. At least not a whole lot. Rocky, good morning. It is nasty in Lafayette. It is nasty in New Orleans. It is nasty north of the lakes up here in Mandeville. Brian Cabot, good morning, Dattitude, and stay safe and dry for sure. Hakeem, big dog, what's up? And by the way, Mark's going to rub it in. He says it's 78 and sunny in Las Vegas. But he does love some occasional rain and thunder and lightning. You probably don't get that much in Vegas. Apathy. Hey, Rodgers, come sign with us in Pittsburgh. We just traded a top wide receiver away. No doubt about it. Oh, my goodness. I don't know what that means, PBM. I'm going to pass on that for right now. Reginald Walker, who dat? Brian Cabot says he saw a report, likely clickbait, which I don't like to talk about things that are just clickbait, but okay. The Dolphins are thinking of trading for Penning. Why would the Saints even entertain something like that? Because Penning sucks? Okay. I don't know. Leonardo, good morning. Apathy. Is there any chance Carr can play this season? Is there a zero world where he isn't there in 2 weeks in the classroom learning more as offensive resolution one way or another needs to happen soonish? I agree. Well, I don't agree with this zero world there that if he's not here in 2 weeks. I don't agree with that. We'll get to more of that later. I think as long as he's here by mid-June, fine. But I think if we don't get a final, final words about right. If he's not in the building at some point, I mean, for all you know, he's got the playbook right now and he's studying it. Now, that doesn't do you a whole lot of good if you're not working in it. I get it. But if he's not here at some point within the next month, then maybe all the Fanboy podcast and Derek Carr haters are right. Maybe. Jimmy says that I've made myself perfectly clear about the situation. There's no doubt about it, but we still got to talk about it. Matthew Dave says, whatever receiver we decide to sign, if we do, we get a choice of familiarity. The league is a relationships league, so that person must be familiar with Kellen Moore's offense. I don't know about that. And I'm not just trying to, poo-poo on your comment there. I mean, we see it all the time. We see people sign. I mean, do we know that Brandin Cooks is like a fan of Kellen Moore's offense? I mean, I don't even think when he got to Dallas, I think that Kellen Moore was already gone, right? I mean, he never played for Kellen Moore before. The guys they have now haven't played for Kellen Moore. So I don't know that that's necessarily, I don't know that that's the case. I mean, I think what the Saints need at wide receiver is someone that's going to be something they don't have. I mean, you look at what they have, and again, we're going to get into this, but you talk about Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, great. Bob Means can possibly be a wide receiver 4, maybe. That's a big maybe. But what are the chances that all those guys, and Brandin Cooks, throw him in there, those are your top 4. What are the chances those guys play 17 games? Well, that would be as close to 0.0 as anything. That's kind of the point of all this. Yeah, we're going to get into the whole. I do want to talk about George Pickens, who's left, and all that stuff. But Cedric Wilson. I haven't mentioned Cedric Wilson. That's fine. But he was as big of a disappointment last year as there was. I mean, he just didn't fit in. Maybe he'll fit in more. But still, you need a big-bodied receiver who can play a role in this offense that, I hate to say possession-type receiver, maybe something that, dare I say it, Michael Thomas maybe would have been at this point in his career. Saints don't have that really right now. At least not anyone that's, worth getting excited about. I think you have to have that, in my opinion. Brian says more of the Saints bypass on homegrown talent at 40. I hope they would have picked Jack Besh. He went 56 to Las Vegas. Just a feeling he's going to be a top 5 receiver in the very near future. You may or may not be. But he's definitely someone that I think that the Saints should have had their eyes on. And again, I go back to Tyler Shough and say, not necessarily, again, I don't know how many times I say this. If that's the guy you wanted, that's the quarterback that you wanted, that's the one that fits your system, maybe you know more than you're letting on. Maybe you don't think you're going to get Derek Carr back. Maybe you do, and you still want to get your quarterback and develop him, whatever. And Tyler Shough's your guy. Not even going to argue about it right now. That's not what I'm arguing about, but where you got him. And even if you pick him at 40, you still need to do something. How could you go through this draft, and just not address wide receiver in this draft? Did you do it on accident? Did you just fall that way? I bet that's probably what happened, is my best bet. I think that I've told you this before. And I know some people are like, no, you got to draft whatever the best player available. No, that's not what I think. It's great if you think this is the best player available when it comes to your time. Great. You didn't move up. You didn't move down. Fine. But you don't necessarily just draft best player available. You can't do that when you're 5-12. When you're 5-12, you have to address what your needs are. And I don't think, again, some of these players that they drafted that we'll talk about, especially over the next coming weeks, great. They might turn out to be fantastic players. But if they're not high up on your need list, what good are they going to do? You had this giant gaping hole at wide receiver. I mean, re-signing Dante Pettis doesn't do anything for me. Mason Tipton is what? 5'2", 120 pounds? I mean, I'm exaggerating, but you don't have what you need. Kevin Austin was drafted in 22? Never made it in the NFL. Finally, the Saints found a place for him because you didn't have anybody else. Caught 11 passes last year. Never caught a pass in the NFL before that. You go out and get undrafted free agents. No. What else we got here? Sean says Pickens for a third and a sixth. Exactly. I meant to get into that. What didn't do that. So let's talk about what they got. Steelers get a 3rd round pick in 2026 and a 5th round pick in 2027 and get back a 6th, by the way. So, I mean, that's a wash. The 5th for a 6th. I mean, who cares? So basically, the Steelers get a 3rd round pick next year. That's basically it. It goes to show you that, you know how fans always say, well, trade him. You can get a 1st round pick for this. Your opinions on what you can get back in a trade. That's why the answer is rarely trade someone. More times than not, you're only trading a player if he's just a malcontent, let's say. And, Derek Carr's a malcontent. No. If he's a malcontent and you can get something of some value. Derek Carr might be a malcontent. I mean, according to 80% of you who apparently know everything there is to know inside the Saints organization, he is a malcontent, Terry. We know he doesn't want to be here because y'all been hanging out with him and had a po' boy with him last week. Regardless, even if he doesn't want to be here, even if he is a malcontent, what do you think you can get for him right now? Nothing. You can't get anything for him because of his salary. Because if you're going to trade him, you're going to ask the team that takes him to take some of this salary that you're paying and take some of this dead weight off your hands. No one's going to do that. Not going to happen. And I'm not just talking about Derek Carr. I'm just talking about in general. I mean, we've talked about it before. Remember last year we were talking about, well, it's trade deadlines coming up. What about Alvin Kamara? What do you think you could get for an almost 30-year-old wide receiver? I mean, running back, excuse me. I told you it was like Monday. Not much. I mean, not what you think you could get for Alvin Kamara. Certainly not what he's worth. You're better off signing him to a 2-year deal, which is what the Saints decided to do. Booker, who dat? Nola man, good morning. Hakeem, looks like Bob Means might get the first crack at being the big chain mover. He might. Absolutely, he might. Nola man. Is there still time to cancel season tickets with the second payment due Friday? Give me hope. Well, you know how the Saints got some dead cap coming up? I think your family might have some dead cap money coming up too. If you cancel those season tickets, you're definitely going to have some dead cap because I don't think they're going to give you your money back. Your best option right now is to just buy them and try to get somebody to buy them off your hands. Mark says he hopes Eric McCoy can stay healthy. Yeah, I think that's key. No matter who the whole quarterback is. Do I think the O-line can develop into a top 5 O-line? No. Top 5, no. But I do think they can be better than average, which is a major step up. And then, close your ears. You're not going to want to hear this. And then maybe you address it. Maybe not necessarily with the first pick, whatever pick you have next year, but early again in the draft. One more. You get one more, and I think then maybe you could be a top 5. Maybe. I mean, we still don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we never even talked really about Dylan Radins. Not exciting from the free agent guard that they got from the Titans. I think there's a possibility we haven't even talked about. I mean, he's never been brought up really. None of the podcasts that I hear. No, not even our own. I mean, sure, his name gets thrown around in passing, but I mean, it's possible that if they could turn Penning into a backup. You turn Penning into a backup, you put Radins in at left guard, and you move the guys you got where they belong. And that's Banks at left tackle and Fuaga at right tackle, in my opinion. I think one of the things you're going to see over the summer, and this is why I don't want to spend the next 3 months doing nothing talking about quarterback. Of course, it's important. It's the most important topic of conversation this entire offseason. Whether you agree with me on how it works, or how it ends up, or whether you don't agree with me on how it ends up, or whether you can't stand me even talking about how it ends up because this dude's a moron. Whatever your opinions are, I think we all agree that that is the most important topic of this offseason. But not that far off. It's in second place, in my opinion, is offensive line. And it's going to, in a way, it's a good thing that all this talk about quarterback, because we're not talking about O-line right now, which is probably what we would be talking about had none of this crap with Derek Carr happened and he was here and whatever. And even if they drafted Tyler Shough, I mean, nobody in their right mind would think that Tyler Shough was going to beat out Derek Carr if Derek Carr was here. So I think what happens over the course of the next, I don't know, like Apathy said with the, Carr trying to learn Kellen Moore's playbook if he's going to be here. I think that this team is going to want to have a good feel. They did it last year, okay? We talked about last year going into training camp and maybe trying to figure out what they're going to do in offensive line. No, they already knew what they were going to do with the offensive line. And to their credit, not that anybody wants to give Dennis Allen any credit for anything, and maybe it was Kubiak, who knows. But going into training camp, the Saints already knew what they wanted to do on the offensive line. They did it. They stuck to it. And for the most part, it worked out as best as it could, probably. So I would expect that this team is probably going to do something similar. They're going to spend all of May and probably all of June trying to figure out what is the best combination for us along the offensive line. And then you're going to go there, and then you're probably going to stick to it. So I think whatever you see, at least early in training camp, maybe not the first week, maybe not even the second week, but I think fairly early in training camp as they get into the preseason, whatever you see by maybe that first preseason game or the second preseason game, I think that's what you're going to see at least to go into the year. Reginald says he's really happy with the Saints draft top to bottom. Highly productive leaders with good makeup. Most miss very few games with injury. Can't wait to see how it shapes up. We talked about, again, it's not the players that I had a problem with. It's what positions they drafted. That's the problem that I had more than anything. But to your point, Reginald, one thing I definitely like, and I've talked about this, is back to the old formula for drafting Saints players, and that's character, team captains. Kelvin Banks, I mean, this kid is 21 years old. He's already been in the league, and he already played 3 years of major college football as a starter, 42 games. He comes in as Texas's team captain. And Steve Sarkisian, what did he say? He said, I wanted to have 90 Kelvin Banks. You can't have 90 Kelvin Banks. But that's who the same. And there are multiple players like that on this roster. So, again, my complaint, and I know I'm in the minority because I know most people actually like this draft. A lot of people like the draft, let's be honest, because they drafted a quarterback in the second round and they hate Derek Carr. That's majority of the people, that's why they like the draft. And then Danny Stutzman gets, I'm very interested in him. Again, not a position that I thought the Saints would go out and get at that point in time, especially when they still needed a wide receiver, but everyone's high on him. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. It's not the players necessarily. It's the positions that I had a problem with. We'll see. Mike Prima, Bob Means will explode this season in the wide receiving room. 6 touchdowns. Mike, if you think Bob Means, and I'm not being ugly here. I have no idea what this number is, but I bet you can go on and find a future if you partake in sports betting at all. I bet you can go and find, and we'll look it up later. I don't want to look it up right now. I got too many tabs up right now. But I bet you can get Bob Memes over under 6 touchdowns for a pretty decent price. I'm just saying. Just saying. Matthew Dave is talking about box out. Yeah, Halliburton. Whew. Brian wants to know if I've ever considered to get a Saints player as a guest. Maybe the Rat. You know what? I bet the Rat would come on the show. I bet he would. I would never. I mean, we could. I'm not scared of anybody. The Rat's actually been on. He was on the Saints Insider podcast during the Super Bowl week. And I was sitting there, dapped him up. Were y'all watching? I'll have to find the picture again. But yes, I have considered it. I have mixed feelings about it. Let's put it that way. Well, I'll just leave it at that. Okay. I'll just leave it at that. Gabe's not here, so I'm trying to read some of these comments before I actually delete them, before I show them on the air, and I don't play Ron Burgundy. Ryan Cabot said the John Doe is actually Shedeur Sanders himself. David +1 # says, don't be tricked. That Shedeur Sanders lawsuit was filed by Mel Kiper. He was so distraught. Very well could be. Gapsky says Danny Stutzman would be a good guess. Maybe. We'll see. I'm not putting it against it. All right. Y'all know I don't like to get into things like this, but I got to show this. Okay. Gail Walker. Why the Saints never had a black quarterback as a number one? Always a backup. First off, I believe Jameis Winston started, 9, 10 games. Before that, there's a guy named Teddy Bridgewater who started 5 games. But, yeah, he was a backup. But they had a guy named Drew Brees for like 16 years. Who was the quarterback before Drew Brees? Before Drew Brees. Oh, that would be Aaron Brooks. Oh, Aaron Brooks. Oh, yeah. Who was the quarterback before Aaron Brooks? Oh, I forgot. Oh, yeah, Jeff Blake. Get out of here with that crap. Again, I try to avoid these sorts of things just because I don't want anything that could be even viewed as political nonsense, because I don't give a rat's ass about political nonsense. But when people say stuff that isn't true, bring receipts if you're just going to say crap, okay? Bring receipts. Sigh. I mean, I don't know why that stuff bugs me, but it just does. Lance Stobart, good morning. Who dat? Let's see here. What else we got? Ron Hendrickson, Banks and Fuaga, McCoy, Ruiz, and maybe Penning moving to left guard could be the start of an offensive line that could be brutal. Again, I don't necessarily know that it's going to be Penning. But, again, Ron, I don't want to say fired up, but I feel better about the offensive line situation than at any point since Sean Payton left this team. Actually, since Drew Brees left, honestly. John Carter. Good morning. Who dat? How is the diet going? I thought about the other day. No one has asked me about the New Year's resolution in a while. And I brought it up on this show at the beginning of the year to shame myself if I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. I'm going to be straight up honest with you. I have not weighed myself in about a month. I have definitely not gained weight in the last month, but I don't know that I've lost weight in the last month either. My super big boy clothes that I keep around just in case were even getting tight at the beginning of this year. Well, at least those fit. So I've definitely lost weight since the beginning of the year, but I'm almost afraid to step on the scale because I know it's not what it's supposed to be. But thank you, John, for shaming me and trying to get me back on track. My wife and daughter just joined local gym that opened up here a couple months ago. I am about to do the same. That's how I'm going to spend a lot of my summer. Ask me again in a month or so. But I needed that, actually. Saints fan 0521. Good morning. This is Jose and his son Enrique from Georgia. Love the show. Well, thank you, Jose and Enrique. Thank you for joining the show from Georgia. We appreciate you being here. Let's see. Oh, boy. I'm not going to even show it. Yep, you got a numbnuts out there talking about. See, this is why if I even mention Derek Carr and I don't call him a douchebag or a POS or an awful quarterback, then you're an apologist. You're taking up for him. You love him. Blah, 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 blah. Piss off. There's my comment to you this morning. Meanwhile, Lewis Handel says, keep believing in Tyler Shough. He's going to make our franchise proud. This is the beginning of something special. Too early to be a negative Nancy about the future. I'd be a negative Nancy about Tyler Shough. I'm just telling you what I think's going to. I mean, this isn't a show where we just blow up your feelings. Let's make everybody feel good, boys and girls. We don't want to make anybody feel bad about anything. We don't want to be honest. We don't want to tell you our thoughts. We just want to be the Fanboy Podcast. There are podcasts out there that do nothing but tell you what you want to hear for ratings. I promise you, there are plenty of them out there, more than one. If you want to go out there and find a podcast where they will tell you whatever you want to hear, because I know what you want to hear. I can say that. If you want me to say that, it ain't happening. But there are plenty of podcasts that will tell you exactly what you want to hear. They don't know what the hell they're talking about, but they will tell you what you want to hear, and you will say, amen, brother. Go find them. Easy to find. Who dat Lewis Jacobson? Who dat Daddy's here? Has anyone seen Derek Carr? I'm sure someone has. Kind of going on we're 41 minutes in. We've only spent about 5 minutes talking about our actual topic of the day. Reginald Walker says he would love to sign Keenan Allen to a 2-year deal. I fear, however, that the Steelers' recent trade, he will have a few interested parties. I think he was going to have a few interested parties anyway. I want to actually get into what's left at free agency because there's not a whole lot. Who that daddy's telling Nola, man. Buy the tickets, leave them at the top of the ramp on Poydras Street like they used to do back in the 80s. You know, man, it used to be really easy to find tickets. It might be easy again because me and my buddy, we'd go out there. I'd say it started probably in the late 80s, early 90s. And even when they were good, we could find tickets like last minute. Montreal, good evening. Well, it's not evening yet. It's still morning here in New Orleans. I guess it's afternoon in Montreal. Hope it doesn't flood in Louisiana. We got some spots that are flooding. Again, I'm on the North Shore where I'm at. I'm okay. I actually live 17 feet above sea level, but on the South Shore, it's not great right now. Reggie Walker wants to know if I believe that a fourth wide receiver is more important than addressing the defense. You're missing the point. I'm talking about, yes, in the fourth round, absolutely. 100%. Second round, third round, absolutely. And you're talking about somebody that's why I said Chris Olave, Rashid, Shaheed, those guys aren't going to play 17 games. You're fooling yourself if you think. So you weren't just drafting a number 4 receiver. First of all, Brandin Cooks is not really a number 3. If he is your number 3, you're in trouble. Okay? Talking about 32, 33, or however years old he is. Okay? So you need someone that can play as a wide receiver 2. He'll probably start off as a wide receiver 3. You don't have that guy. So when I say a fourth wide receiver, I don't necessarily mean someone that's going to play wide receiver 4. I need someone that's going to step in and can be the wide receiver 2. Because if Olave, last year, Olave and Shaheed, I mean, I don't need to tell you, they miss half the year. I mean, there's a chance that they both miss time together again. You need somebody that can be the number 1. Who's the number 1 receiver on this team if Olave gets hurt? Shaheed's not really a number 1 anyway. Maybe they'll go get a Keenan Allen in free agency. That's not who he is anymore. He's not really a number 1. So to answer your question, yes, absolutely. Especially where the Saints address the defense. Where did they address the defense in this draft? They addressed it in the middle of the defensive line. I don't know how many times. I know that most people don't agree with me. I get it. I understand. But you just addressed all this stuff in the middle of your defensive line. These guys ain't great. I don't care if they're not great. You spent all this money for the interior of your offensive line, re-signing guys that maybe you shouldn't have re-signed. I'm not saying you don't need that, but that's not, you don't go and draft. You go and draft a linebacker that could be great, could maybe not. Is he more important than a wide receiver? I don't know. I don't even have a problem with Stutzman. But it's where you drafted who? You drafted defensive tackle at the top of the 3rd round. Could he be a great player? Yeah, maybe. Just, again, priorities. To me, they weren't in line. If you're going to draft a defensive player in that spot, I'd rather see you draft somebody that's going to be a stalwart as an edge rusher. We'll talk more about that in the summer, for sure. Because I'm very interested to see how all this plays out. Again, besides, obviously, we're going to look at Banks and see where he plays. But the most intriguing player to me of this entire rookie class and how they're going to fit in, there are two. Number one is Danny Stutzman. I do not know how. I want to see how this kid's going to fit in, okay? Because everything I read and see, he's got the talent to fit in, and you need to find a way to get him in there, okay? Maybe he does turn out to be a great player. But to me, when you needed, what's the title? What's left at wide receiver? When you needed not a fourth receiver, really a wide receiver too, right? When you needed something there, maybe they waited too long. Maybe they should have done it in the third round. You draft a safety when you need a corner more than you need a safety. That's another show, probably. Cornerback. Like Brian says, running back Miller always gets hurt. That's another position you need. I don't know. Reginald Walker, do I think the Pittsburgh trade create a higher demand for Keenan Allen? They likely to entice Rodgers to sign with him. Yeah, we're gonna get with him in a minute. I'm gonna tell you who's left in just a minute. UBN wants me to get. Boy, could you imagine if Derek Carr came on the show? I'm gonna try. Actually, I would actually try to get Derek Carr, but I have mixed feelings on getting current Saints on the show. I've had former Saints on the show before, and I will have former Saints on the show again. I don't know that this is the show for current Saints. We can get into it and exactly why or whatever. I don't know. All right, enough with the quarterback stuff. Lewis Handel said, cut back on the muffalata. That's easier for you to say, pal. One thing, look, when you get to my age, and look, I want to live to 90, maybe not 90. I want to live to well into my 80s like most folks do. But I got to say, sometimes you say, I don't know how much longer I got. I know I got more time. I don't know if it's a month, a week, a year, 10 years, 25 years. Do you really want to be, don't get me wrong. I'm definitely going to go. I actually enjoy working out. Sometimes, man, when you go and my favorite place, I got two favorite places just around the corner basically from me. And you go sitting there and yes, you can find something to eat that's good for you. Cause I like to get out of this, working in your studio. It's great to work from the house. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining about it, but sometimes you just got to get the hell out of here. So there's two places I really like to go for lunch sometimes, a late lunch. And man, when you go and you're sitting there and you're like, I could eat boiled shrimp salad or I could have some fried catfish or whatever. Whatever. You know what I mean? Mark Gapsky, what's my favorite po' boy in town? Oh man, I got so many. I really do. I got so many. I tell you what, if you message me on the side, I'll give you a list. I don't want to single anybody out because I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, especially maybe potential sponsors in the near future. I definitely do not want to hurt anyone's feelings. Sean wants to know if Carr's a no-go this season, what veteran quarterback would we bring in or possibly bring in? Well, if you look at what's left, quarterbacks that are left: Aaron Rodgers, Carson Wentz, Desmond Ridder, C.J. Beathard, Teddy Bridgewater, Jeff Driscoll, Tyler Huntley, Mike White, Ben DiNucci, who we just cut. I don't know. Nobody? Teddy Bridgewater, if he wants to play? I don't want anything to do with Desmond Ridder. And why would you'd probably have to spend more money on Carson Wentz than I'd want to. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I know. Broughton is a nasty man. He drops F-bomb in his first interview after he gets drafted. Soldier right away. That's what sold you, that he dropped an F-bomb. Third rounder drops an F-bomb. He's my kind of guy. UBN's got breaking news for it. Golden State Steph Curry is sustained a grade 1 left hamstring grade and will be ruled out game 2 against Minnesota on Thursday, sources tell ESPN. I'd seen this morning that he was likely not going to play. So That is part of my. No, it's not. I was gonna say it's not part of my man versus machine today. No, it's not. Michael Thomas on the show. Yeah, I'm sure Michael Thomas wants to come on the show after all the nice things I've said about him through the years. Silver Gator, how about getting Taysom Hill as a guest? Maybe, especially if he doesn't come back. JC, welcome. I'm glad to see you're on YouTube now. Charles Mangus, his favorite po' boy is a sloppy roast beef po' boy. Yeah, you didn't say any names. That's UBN says Moe's roast beef po' boy on Fridays hits like crack. Never done crack. Wouldn't know. All right. I want to get into some of again, keep the comments coming because there's some things I want to talk about. Other things this morning I want to talk about. Again, we talked about the trade and what the Cowboys got. I guess I should get my hand from out in front of my mouth. It's probably easier to hear me. Steelers get a 3rd round pick in 2026 and a 5th round in 2027. By the way, just throwing this out there for fun. Don't get mad at me. You Carr haters and Shough fans and Spencer Rattler fans, whatever. Don't get mad at me when I tell you this, okay? I'm just throwing out a fun. Here's my fun fact of the day. George Pickens has been in the league for 3 seasons. He has 174 catches for just shy of 3,000 yards with 13 total touchdowns. That's pretty good, right? 174 catches, just shy of 3,000 receiving yards, 13 total touchdowns, 12 receiving, 1 rushing. He's a year and a half younger than Tyler Shough. Just saying. Just saying. Corey Atkins says Joe Flacco would have been a good bridge. I don't necessarily, but they're not going to spend any money on a backup. Jameis Winston would have been a good bridge. That's a whole different story. Don't get me started. Who Dat Daddy says people that don't eat pork, no fried fish, no boudin, no po' boys, going to feel like a damn fool lying in a hospital dying from nothing. Amen. There's something we can agree on. That's my whole point. Look, I don't want to die tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to die tomorrow. I want to go back to the gym. I enjoy the gym. But man, I don't want to, like, who that daddy? I don't want to be lying on my bed, my deathbed, and like the next 5 years I eat nothing but healthy crap. That's not who I am. And then I want to die for 5 years for what? Nola Man says James Brown, a surf and turf, barbecue beef, roast beef, fried shrimp. Do you eat roast beef and fried shrimp together? No, I know, kid. Silver Gator says shrimp po' boy. Earl's Picks, giving a shout out to R&O's roast beef po' boy. Charles Mangus says he won't be here next week. He's going to Gatlinburg. We'll enjoy family vacation. Next week, we will have some fun. We will have Monday, Wednesday. And actually, next week is going to be a weird week. I think we're going to have a Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday show next week. Why? Why are you doing Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday instead of Monday, Wednesday, and Friday? Next week, again, no show Friday. I got some other things going on. I'm going to be working on some things for future shows, getting some things ready. And also next week is schedule release day. Wednesday is schedule release day. So Thursday's show, we'll be talking about the schedule. I mean, whatever. Charles says he's doing a treadmill 3 days a week. That's your exercise. Actually, I'm telling you, I go in spurts, and when I get into it, man, I go and I go and I go and I go. And I get to a spot, and my problem is I get to a certain spot, and I'm like, okay, that's good enough for now, and then I don't go back. UBN says the PGA Championships next week. What's that? Just kidding. We'll see. I don't know that people want to hear about that right now. We'll talk about that later. It's possible. But what's left at receiver? Okay. When you look at the Saints depth chart again right now, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Brandin Cooks are 1, 2, and 3. They're all kind of the same player. Then you look at the next guy. You got left, right slot. You got Bub Means. You got Kevin Austin. You got Cedric Wilson. I just don't know how Cedric Wilson even fits in this offense. That was a bust pick, and I'm not blaming him for him because I actually liked it when they brought him in. I thought it was going to be a good pick. He turned out to be, didn't work out. But then, I mean, after that, you got undrafted free agents, either from last year or this year. I mean, they re-signed Dante Pettis, but he's more of a return specialist. Mason Tipton, remember when he was going to be the bee's knees? What did he turn out to be? Not much. And my son's like telling me about some guy named Moochie Dixon. He's all fired up about Moochie Dixon. Who the hell is Moochie Dixon? Some guy named Chris Tyree, player who was a running back at his first 3 years at Notre Dame before he transferred to Virginia. He moved the running back. Moved the receiver, and he caught a whopping 24 passes. What's left in free agency? Well, according to Sharp Football Analysis, the best free agents available are Amari Cooper, Keenan Allen, Gabe Davis, who was just released from Jacksonville. You see on our title slide with this morning, we had those three guys. You got Nelson Aguilar, Tyler Boyd, who left the Bengals and went to the Titans and was a bust, got hurt, or whatever. OBJ, DJ Chark, Kadarius Toney. Don't want anything with to do with stone hands. Dwayne Eskridge, Deontay Hardy, former Saint. You want to bring another Saint back? Fine, doesn't fit in. That's not what the Saints need. And then you go through the rest of this list: Brandon Powell, Chris Conley, Jameson Crowder, Allen Robinson. What is he, 94 years old? Gunnar Olszewski. I mean, the rest of these guys are mostly guys I haven't heard of. Oh, you know who's at the bottom of this list? Marquez Callaway. I guess Sean Payton said, yeah, I brought him back. Didn't work out. Who that daddy? Bub Means our tallest receiver. I'm not saying Bub Means isn't. I mean, y'all don't get so fired up. I'm not saying Bub Means isn't going to be good. He may be. But you're talking about, what is he? Wasn't he a 5th round pick with Spencer Rattler last year, or a 6th round, whatever he was? He could be good. He could. Good's it's a word anybody could use. Good, fine, whatever. He's not a number 1 or a number 2 receiver, Bub Means. Could he be one day? Maybe, sure, whatever. Jay Tucker Rafferty says Cedric Wilson did have his best season under Kellen Moore. Well, I hope it works. Sean says, if I brought in Derek Carr, I would have to turn off the comments. I would just say this. If I brought in Derek Carr, that would almost surely be a taped recording, a recorded interview. That I wouldn't even let him read the comments. I wouldn't do that to that dude. Darryl Romero says, love the show. Agree with me on most things. I do a great job. Thank you, Darryl. Appreciate it. Not everybody feels the way you do. But people keep coming back. I got this one troll, okay? What is y'all's suggestion, by the way? I meant to ask this earlier. I know I'm all over the place this morning. What is your answer for, I got this troll. Look, I don't give a damn if you don't agree with. You don't have to agree with me. In fact, by all means. Most of the people, some of the people I love most in the comment stream and people I don't agree with. I don't have to agree with you. We could talk about what we don't agree about. But I got this troll that keeps coming back on the YouTube page. Keeps calling me, and now he's just trying to piss me off. And so I guess in a way, let's say he's kind of succeeded. So now I just started deleting his comments because he's just trolling. I don't want to ban the person. I don't know who the guy is. I don't know if he ever watches the show live. He never comments live. He only comments after the fact. Probably so he knows. Maybe he came on before and I just got on his ass, and now he just likes to troll and say what he wants, so I can't respond until an hour or two later. I don't know. Who that daddy? Derek Carr wouldn't come on if I asked him to. How do you know? We actually had a regular segment with Derek Carr. You can go back and watch. When he first signed here, for the first year he was here, he had a regular weekly segment on the Saints Insider podcast. So I don't know if they called it, if it was actually part of the Saints Insider podcast or they just did it separately. You can find it on the Saints Insider podcast. You can go back and look for it. But we did weekly segments with Derek Carr. Zach Ewing has been on the show multiple times. Obviously, we've become very good friends. We worked together. Zach was my boss when we were both bet.noah.com for a couple of years. And then Zach went on and Now he's the Saints editor, and he comes on the show on a regular basis. Zach actually covered Derek Carr in high school. Show you how small world. So anyway, I think there's a chance. If I reached out, I bet there's a possibility he would come on the show, especially if it was recorded. Sean says Bub means 6'4", 215, 4'4", 40. Maybe he thrives under the Moore system. Maybe he does. But even so, Sean and everybody else, maybe he does. I think Bub Means could be one of the undersung. And he played a lot more as the season went along. Tyler Shough was out there throwing passes at Tulane. He was throwing passes to Bub Means and Juwan Johnson. Great. Love it. Glad that he's doing that. Get yourself ready. I love that. Love that he's doing that. Maybe Bub Means can take the next step. I hope he can. But even so, you look at what this team has and compare it to other, even average teams, compared to the Falcons. I mean, the Falcons are so much more talented a receiver than the Saints. It ain't funny. You got to be able to get there, man. You got to be able to have the talent. UBN says, I think just you in general. You haven't made it until you have haters. Well, I got plenty of those. I don't know if that necessarily means I've made it. David Bordelon says, good morning to me and the Dattitudinals. Derek Carr on Dattitude would be must-see podcast. I tell you what, and y'all know, the regulars know what I do when I do have, it's not often that I have a recorded segment anymore, recorded interview. And again, I wait till we talked about the last word that's coming up. May have one soon with the LSU Shreveport coach. But when I do have recorded segments, what I do while I have the segment on, I monitor the comments and sometimes show them. I don't know if I'd have the heart to do it. I don't know. I don't know if I'd have the heart to do it. Mal says, dang, I thought Zach was younger or the same age as Carr. No, I think Zach is 40-ish. I think he's a little over 40. Although am I not supposed to? He often listens to the show after the fact. Zach is 29. Sorry, what am I talking about? What would I even ask Derek Carr? I don't know. I don't know. I'd take a list of suggestions from everybody except Who Dat Daddy and Big Sean. Just kidding. All right, we got plenty more to talk about this morning. Probably about another half an hour left in the show. It's all Saints the rest of the way, except for man versus machine. And our last word, which again today is going to be on a team that is 51-0, not a current team that's currently 51-0 in college baseball. Yes, they are 51-0, and they are right here in the state of Louisiana. And their coach is trying to get him to come on the show before they start their regional next week. We told you earlier we'll let you know more about how Evangeline Securities can help you figure out what your family-run or privately held business might be worth and whether it's time to sell. How do they do it? Glad you asked. Thank you for asking. So nice of you. After their complimentary valuation of your company, if you decide to proceed, native New Orleanians Nick Braden, Ron Hemelt, hold on. Oh, boy. Y'all got me all fired. Now I'm just thinking about an interview with Derek Carr. I'm not actually thinking about the interview with Derek Carr. I'm thinking about the comments of the interview during the interview with Derek Carr. I can't even imagine. There'd be probably some people that were blocked after that one. Anyway, back to my friends Nick Braden, Ronnie Melton, the folks at Evangeline. They will begin an extensive auction process among established private equity funds from around the world. And they'll maximize the return process for the founder and his or her family. Evangeline Securities is the top producer on their platform. There are very few companies like them in this area, and none with their dedication and success. They are fully licensed, ready to serve you. So get in touch with Nick and Ron about what's really important. It's not about who's going to play wide receiver for the Saints or who's going to play offensive line or whether they made the right choices on defense. No, what's really important? The rest of your life. You can find them at www.evangelinesecurities.com. Oh, boy. Sorry. I know a lot of you probably don't want to hear me drinking coffee, especially if you listen to the audio only version. Got to do it. Who Dat Daddy wants to ask the questions? That would be a big fat no. That would be a huge, giant no. He says after his first question, he would be ashamed to continue. Come on, man. Let's be nice today. All right. So anyway, back to receivers. Again, real quick, because I want to move on to part 2 of this conversation about the Saints this morning. I want to talk a little bit more about Kelvin Banks. We kind of touched on it, but yeah, I'm all fired up about Bub Means. I just think you got to bring somebody in. Again, I don't really want anything to do with Amari Cooper. Gabe Davis getting released, fine. How much money would he cost? I don't know if the Saints could afford him. What can the Saints afford? I don't even know. I mean, how big's Nelson Aguilar? And how old is he, by the way? He seems like a guy that would fit in. He is... Lord, where is it? He was born in 1993. He's going to be 32. He's 6 feet, 200. I thought he was bigger than that. So, no, not really him. I mean, OBJ's too old. DJ Chark. DJ Chark is what? 6'3", 200. He's going to be 29 in September. What would he cost? I don't know. Can the Saints afford him? Maybe. Kind of been a disappointment after that. Man, that sophomore season, he had 73 catches for 1,008 yards. And everybody was saying DJ Chark, DJ Chark. Then he had 53 catches, got hurt, he had 7. Then 30 catches in 26 with Detroit. 35 catches in 27 with Carolina. Got hurt again last year. He didn't start any games, only played in 7. Had 4 catches for 31 yards. And there's not much out there, man. There's just not a whole lot out there. PBM says Nelson Aguilar had a career year with Derek Carr. Now, see what you did, PBM? You just made half the audience say, well, I definitely don't want him. All right. I want to talk about some other things this morning. Again, rookie minicamp. We don't even really know who's going to show up, right? There's a story out there. I think it was posted this morning. Let me see. It was this morning by Matthew Paris. And he's basically got a guide, what to watch for at a Saints rookie camp minicamp that includes Tyler Shough and plenty more. That's the headline. And again, the hype will be around Tyler Shough. And people will be looking at people will be looking at Kelvin Banks. Great. But what else is there out there? There's going to be a lot of things because it's like Matt says, the Saints have even yet to reveal their full roster for minicamp, but there are a lot of times they get second-year players. It's not just rookies to get additional reps. And he makes a point that non-rookies, that they make an appearance because they're not sure to make this team. Okay, you might have more than usual. Last year, he says, the non-rookies to make an appearance on the roster included running back Jordan Mims, defensive back Faion Hicks, cornerback Rejon Wright, offensive lineman Mark Evans, tight end Michael Jacobson. Okay. Saints tryouts also included safety Roderick Teamer. Okay, that's good. Defensive lineman Kendall Vickers, both of whom would go on to be on the eventual roster. And then you got the undrafted free agents. And Matt talks about how last year the Saints had, quote, a relatively high hit rate on their undrafted free agents. 9 of the 16 players played in at least one game for the Saints, and 4 of those made the initial 53-man roster. Think about that. I mean, I'm not trying to be negative here. I'm really not. I'm not trying to be funny. None of that crap. When I tell you here that maybe that's part of the reason why they went 5-12. I don't know. Matt says the Saints have had success finding punters where they found Matthew Hayball and Lou Hedley. I don't know if that's necessarily success. The Saints have signed Alabama punter James Burnip. Could he be the third undrafted free agent punter in a row to make this team 3 years in a row? Maybe. I'm certainly was not impressed with Matthew Hayball last year, but I did think he was better than Lou Hedley. Matt also says Saints have had success finding free agent kick returners as undrafted free agent. That's why, and I brought up Chris Tyree before, former running back who returned 2 touchdowns at Notre Dame before transferring to Virginia. So maybe that's why they brought him in more than anything. They brought Tyree in as a potential kick returner, but don't the Saints kind of have that? I'm not sure. Sean, Michael Thomas should be healthy. Hadn't played in 2 seasons. I don't want anything to do with that dude. And I got to be honest, I don't think he would want anything to do with this team. Although, when you haven't played that long and if you want to play, but I haven't heard a lot of peeps out of Michael Thomas. Maybe I'll scour through his X page. Earl's picks. Nelson Aguilar is too small. We already have that. Base God said, bring in Keenan Allen. I agree. I mean, I think that's unquestionably the best one out there. But however, is Keenan Allen going to want to come here? That's the problem. I mean, the Saints aren't the only team looking for a receiver. Anyway, so I'm very interested to see what happens with rookie minicamp this year. Who that daddy asked me if I saw the punter that Peyton got in the draft. He's a bad man. I did. They drafted him, in like the 5th round or something? You better be damn good if you're getting drafted to be a kicker or a punter. Now, a lot of times, actually, they work out. I mean, what did the Saints drafted Thomas Morstead? That certainly worked out. We'll see. UBN says Pickens and Lamb will have Dak crying by week 6. That's that is just an interesting dynamic in Dallas. Base God, I agree with you. We don't just need a receiver. We need a receiver that can block. I agree. Can Bub Means block? I don't know. I didn't see enough of him last year. I'm glad he got to play some at the end of last year, but I don't know. So I doubt that he'll be at minicamp. Again, it's not just rookie minicamp. That's what it's called, but there are players that are second-year players that show up if they need to. Yeah, Morstead loves New Orleans. Morstead bought in. He still bought in. He was at Sal Snowballs and Metairies a few days. Was he? I bet you Morstead would come back if they asked him to. Who was he asking to take number 6? He said he was telling somebody they could have number 6. Like, was it Shough? Was it Shough or was it? I don't know. Rattler switched to number 2. He was telling somebody they could have number 6 if they wanted to. Jay Tucker Brafferty, now you're trying to bring nightmares. The Saints drafted Russell Erxleben, the punter kicker from Texas in round 1 back in the day. Back in the long time ago, 1978, I believe. All right, it's about time we're getting to that point when we wrap up the show. Here is your last chance to get any comments here. We're going to have a shorter show than usual this morning. Look, I wanted to talk about receiver. That's what we did. Next week, again, we're going to be talking about schedule release. We're going to be talking more about the quarterback situation because maybe we'll have some intel. I'll tell you what we're going to do a lot of on Monday. And this will be a positive thing. I'm telling you, this won't be negative. I mean, of course, Derek Carr's name's going to come up and you'll hate me and whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I am going to go in. It'd be interesting to see. You think Spencer Rattler is going to show up rookie camp? Probably not, but he certainly could if he wanted to go play. Probably not, though. But we will be talking about what did the media is going to be. I'm telling you right now. Again, you're talking about a media that mostly they're with all of the people out there, whether they're here watching the show, whatever show they're watching. They're with the people that most of the media, not all of them, they just don't like Derek Carr. They want to move. So you're going to hear gushing like you ain't. If they're not gushing about Tyler Shough this weekend, it means that he absolutely sucked okay? Because they're only going to see the good. I can promise you. But regardless of all that, we're going to take some comments from, I'm going to go through and I'm going to glean and aggregate some comments from local media out there, mostly our guys, but some not so much our guys. And that's what we're going to do on Monday. So I'll have quotes about, probably mostly about Shough, but other rookies as well. What did people see from Kelvin Banks? All of that we're going to talk about on Monday. Mini camp is Thursday through Sunday. Plenty of time to see what's going on. Maybe we'll have some, maybe we'll have a dime. Maybe we'll have some comments from Kellen Moore. Maybe we'll have some comments from some of the rookies. We'll see. So we'll see how that goes. That will be Monday morning show. And then Wednesday, it'll be sort of a pre-game show, I guess, of the schedule. We'll talk about who the Saints' opponents are going to be. We already know who the opponents are and who the Saints are going to play at home and who they're going to play on the road. We just don't know when. So Wednesday, we'll try to talk a little bit about that. That'll be Wednesday show. And then Thursday, maybe we'll have Rod Walker on if he wants to come on. I haven't asked him yet. I'm just throwing that out there. Last year we had Rod on schedule release the day after the schedule release. I'll see if he's available and come on. Wendell Norman, awesome show. Thank you you all for we see. You don't talk as much about Derek Carr, and I mean, who dat daddy doesn't even know what to say. Like the negative Nellies out there, the haters. And I'm not talking about who dat daddy. You're a hater in a fun way, but like the haters who aren't haters in a fun way, they don't even know. He didn't talk about Derek Carr today. I don't know how to call him a dumbass. I don't even know what do you do? He's not talking about him. I agree with him about the wide receiver stuff. I don't even know what to say. Oh, boy. Charles Mangus says I should bring on Matt Moscona. I got multiple people who I don't get it. The people who don't like Matt. There's lots of Dattitudinals who don't like Matt Moscona. Matt and I don't agree on some things, but we're very similar in the way we present our opinions. So I'm not really sure how you could not like Matt, but like me. Again, we're not the same person. We have very different views on what the Saints should do, but our presentation is very similar. Just saying. All right, again, I'm going to spend about 5 more minutes on the Saints. If you want to get in your Saints comments, now's your last chance to do that because last word is coming up right after Man versus Machine. See, PBM. No, I'm nothing like Matt. Actually, PBM, I know you don't like Matt, but I am a lot like him. I think. I appreciate you liking me more than you like someone else and that you want to come back here. I completely appreciate it. UBN says Mike D once a month should be a given. Look, Mike Detillier is welcome on the show anytime he wants to come on. I just don't want to ask too much because you start asking somebody too much and look, I'm trying to get out of I got a rotation right now of about 6 to 8 regulars. And I'm really that's what I need to do in the offseason. I need to break that. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to do today by myself. Sean says, Matt is the king of the Saints shock jocking. Yeah, he knows how to piss people off. But he also knows how to make people, a lot of people agree wholeheartedly with what Matt Moscona has to say. Charles loves how we interact. Sometimes people listen to shows, even my regulars, and I'm not complaining. I love anybody who wants to come here. You agree with most of what I say. You don't agree with hardly anything I say, or you're somewhere in between. It's probably not a lot who are somewhere in between. But the show's about reality, okay? And I think that a lot of people who like what I say and agree with what I say, maybe they don't want to hear what the other side is. Maybe they're the same in reverse, Maybe they just don't want to hear what the other person has to say. Get it? Apathy. What about Mike Triplett as a guest? Mike Triplett is a very good friend of mine. He's been on this show multiple times before. But Mike has got his own thing going on with New Orleans football, and I don't necessarily think that he can come on right now. That's maybe not can't come on. It's probably not the right word. But Mike has been on the show 3 or 4 times in the past, maybe more than that. He was on the show quite a bit in the early part when he was still with ESPN. And then when he first went to New Orleans football, he was on once or twice. But anyway, Tripp has been on the show before. We are we used to be really close when we worked together. It's been a little bit. We still talk. We're in the baseball league together. I love Mike Triplett to death. We're both fellow Cubs fans, so we have that to agonize over. But he's plenty busy. Let me tell you, the guys at New Orleans football, you can say whatever you want about those guys. And I know a lot of you watched it. They are some hard work. Just like they work just as hard as our insider guys. And our insider guys are 24/7, man. Luke Johnson and Matt Paris, they work their asses off. And I know Nick and Tripp both do as well over New Orleans football. Man, this job is not necessarily this particular job, because I am able to take a day off here and there, even during football season. I find a way I try to get away on Saturdays as much as I can. I get away. I don't come to the computer if I don't have to. Those guys, 6 months, that's 6 months. They're working every day, man. They just don't. Where was it? I gotta find this real quick. Oh, Mark Gapsky. Love the show as always. Message me on Instagram for my po' boy list. UBN says Instagram. You got a better chance to email me. Just for that, I will make sure I 100% go out and check my Instagram when I get off this show. I don't check it often, but I will go check it just for Mark and just to say piss off UBN. Sean, maybe should add Ross Jackson on. Ross has been on this show. He was on this show in July, I think, or August. And I will definitely have Ross Jackson on the show again. Great dude. Ross Jackson is welcome to come on the show anytime. Maybe this is a good time to ask him. Maybe I'll talk to him next week or the week after and have him on. But I will definitely have Ross Jackson on again soon. All right. Not last word yet. Again, I'll come back and finish with Saints. I want to go, and I'm going to have to do this. I hate when I do this. Because now I don't have Gabe with me either. And I forgot to ask the machine what it thinks. So let me call this up here. Live TV, dumbass. Man versus the machine. All right, Gabe gave me his pick, so I'm just going to throw it out there. That way, if he's right, I could say I should have listened to him. But this is not the man versus machine pick of the day. However, again, for the record, in case it hits, and Gabe can call me a dumbass, because if mine misses and his hits, then I'll look like a dummy. Gabe says, and I don't want to go with a player prop. I want to go with a pick that people might actually bet, besides the true degenerates. So Gabe's pick would be Nikola Jokic's under 50.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Now that sounds like an easy bet, but that is not an easy bet. And by the way, you can find Gabe at sportsbookreview.com. Sportsbookreview.com. So I'm not going with that. Man versus machine today is going to be Celtics minus 10.5 over the Knicks. My thinking on this pick is I just think that the Celtics are going to play pissed off. And I think a pissed off Celtics team is probably the best team in the NBA right now. That's just my opinion. I think the Celtics are a great pick to win the title. I don't know what their future is. I could look it up if I want. Anyway, I don't want to spend too much time with man versus machine. That is my pick. Celtics minus 10.5 over the Knicks. Let's ask the machine live right here on TV, internet television, what it thinks. I can't call it he or she. It's an it. Whatever it wants to call himself. What do you think about Celtics minus 10.5 over the Knicks? It didn't. There we go. Probably not the way I should have asked it. I probably should have asked it a different way. because now it's probably going to say, yeah, go with it if I'm asking it like that. I should have asked it more neutral way. Anyway, here comes the answer. You ready? We're spending way too much time on this crap. All right, here you go. Recommendation. I told you the way I asked it. I lean towards the Celtics minus 10.5, but it's not a confident play due to the Knicks' resilience in the double-digit spread. Boston's historical edge and home dominance make it tempting, but New York's ability to grind out a close game suggests caution. A safer bet might be Celtics team total over 111.5, as their offense should exploit New York's poor perimeter defense. Per game one's 60. That's right. They missed 25 three-pointers. Anyway, so for what it's worth, the machine is with me. That's bad news because both times I've been man, I have lost both, and the machine lost both. And when I haven't been a part of this, the machine's 6-4, and man is 4-6, which still ain't good, but whatever. Sorry, I lost half the audience spending time on that crap. That's 3 minutes of my life I'm never going to get back. Mark Gapsky, you're welcome. Who dat daddy? Took the over. Who dat daddy's taking the over in the Celtics game? I just look. I don't bet a whole lot again. I did bet last night when Rod texted me. Rod Walker texted me to tell me that I couldn't believe this when he told me. It was like middle of the third quarter or early third quarter. The Warriors were up by 20, and they were only minus 340 or something on DraftKings. I'm like, that's free money. I hardly ever bet minus 340. Okay. I hardly ever bet anything that's over like minus 150. Hardly ever. But I'm like, I don't care if Steph's playing or not. You're going to give me a team that's up by 20 in the third quarter, and I only got to pay $34 to make a $10 bet, or in this case, $68 to make a $20 bet to win 20. It's free money. I did get a little nervous towards the end, I will admit, but all right. Again, coming up, we're going to talk more Saints. That'll be 80% of our topic next week. I promise. But we are going to move on to the last word. And I told you I'm going to try next week and get LSU Shreveport coach Brad Neffendorf. I had to look that one up. Don't leave me yet. You want to hear this one, okay? Brad Neffendorf. I'm going to try to get him on this show. What he has done, and I don't know, I got to find out how long he's been in LSU Shreveport. But I know this. This team has been dominant. Before I get to their 51-0 this year, here's their records the last few years. 2024. Okay, they're 51-0 right now as they go into the NAIA first round. In 24, they were 44-11. Okay. 23, they were 47-10. 22, they were 53-8. 21, 45-17. They were 22-4 in the COVID year. 47-13 in 2019 and 43-22 in 2018. Over the last 4 years, 194-29 overall. That includes tournaments, double elimination tournaments, losing here, whatever. Yeah. Conference play. In conference play over the past 4 seasons, including a 30-0 this year, they are 116-7. I don't give a damn if you play in the NFC South of the NAIA. To go 116-7 over 4 years is obscene. When the topic of college baseball comes up, around here especially, one automatically thinks about LSU. Rightfully so. But after doing some research the past couple of days, I'm not even sure the Tigers are the best LSU in college baseball, and you see why. Here we go again. Derry's coming up with more BS for us to listen to. Well, maybe you'll be with me when I tell you that LSU Shreveport is 51-0. 51-0. Let me tell you about some of their games as of late, as a matter of fact. Okay. How did they end the season? Well, they played Louisiana Christian in the tournament. 2 games in the tournament. In the championship game and right before the championship game. Beat him 11-1 and 12-1 in the tournament. They won 9-7 and 10-0 in their other games in the tournament. The end of the regular season. Final season-ending series against Jarvis Christian. 16-0, 18-2, 10-0. I'm going back and looking. I'm trying to find. Yes, they had some one-run games, but they also had a series against Texas College. On March 27th, had some rain, didn't finish it until March 30th. They won the series, 3 games in the series. Get this, 37-0, 15-0, and 42-4. That's right. That's not a misprint. The last time they had a one-run game was March 1st. They beat Louisiana Christian 5-4. And I'm going to call up the box score here on live TV. And they gave up 4 runs in the top of the 6th, trailed 4-3, and then scored 2 runs in the bottom of the 7th. It was a 7-inning game because it was travel day. And they won 5-4. Again, a 2-run comeback in the bottom of the 7th. So they can do it all kinds of ways. They got other wins, back-to-back 8-0, 5-0. They won an 8-7 game in February the 8th. And then to start the season, 11-0 and 17-1. My point is, how in the hell does any team go 51-0? You realize if you're a baseball fan, how many times did it happen when a team's close? It's a close, tight game. Somebody makes an error in the 7th inning or the 9th inning or whatever it is. No. If it was any games they were even close in, they came back, they made sure they won. They were dominating. Again, over the last 4 seasons, 194-29 in conference play, 116-7. So a tip of the cap to the LSU Shreveport Pilots. And really, I might not have even noticed. I told you earlier in the week, I was hoping that Loyola here in New Orleans would get a home series so we could broadcast it on VSN, but they didn't get one. I'm like, well, who else is better than them? And right off the bat, LSU Shreveport came up, of course, to the top seed. And they'll have a home series. I think they find out today where Loyola is going. I hope they don't go there. That would suck. So anyway, we are going to try to have Coach Bradley Neffendorf here on this show next week. He responded to me. I texted him yesterday. He didn't get back to me until this morning. He had a National Selection Committee meeting, and he said he would be happy to join us. So, again, I will try to get him on next week. It'd be fun to talk to him. My guess is that would be a recorded interview. So if you wanted some questions for Coach Neffendorf of how you go 51-0, who that did? If you got something you want to ask somebody that went 51-0, go ahead. Maybe he'll respond. Sean says, sounds like LSU Shreveport's in a weak conference. Again, I don't give a damn what conference you're in. So they went 21-0 outside of conference play, first of all. Second of all, like I said, you might be in the NFC South of, if you put LSU in the Southland, I promise, the LSU Tigers, if you put the LSU Tigers in the Southland Conference and you make them play 30 conference games, they're not going 30-0. They're not. I'd bet a mortgage payment that they wouldn't go 30-0. I don't think people can understand how hard that is to do. It's crazy. All right, that is going to wrap it up for us on this Wednesday. It's going to wrap it up for us on this short week. I want to thank today's guest, which is, well, it was you. And you stayed with us for most of the show. We had a lot of, see, maybe I should have more show. Not talking about quarterback. It was all nice and pleasant today. It was hardly any. We only had a couple trolls today. It was kind of fun. I don't know. We will have Mono-E Monday again on Monday. We'll talk about, of course, we're going to talk about rookie mini camp. I will probably have clips from Kellen Moore. I may have a clip or two from Tyler Shough. We are going to have, I'm going to put the compilation together of media comments on how great Tyler Shough is and how he is most certainly the next Drew Brees, and he'll be here for the next 12 years and starting quarterback. And the Saints will never have to worry about a quarterback again until, I don't know, until the 20, maybe not even until the 2040s. Who knows? Because Tyler Shough will play till he's 41, And in 2040, the Saints will need another quarterback. That's what Monday's show is going to be. Probably not, but something along those lines. A reminder to subscribe to our Dattitude YouTube page. Click the little bell. If you have not given us a like today yet, please do so now. Thumbs up. Oh, the old algorithm. Help the old algorithm. I'm going to come up with a song for the algorithm. You'll always get a notification if you click the little bell when we go in the live, which is generally Monday, Wednesday, and Friday live at 11 a.m. Central Time. However, next week, remember, no Friday show. And next week will be Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, because Thursday we will be talking about the schedule release, which comes out Wednesday night. You can also find us if you just want to listen and you don't want to see my ugly mug and you don't have any desire to type in the comments with the rest of the Dattitude family. Well, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple, Spotify, and many more. You can find a replay of the show on NOLA.com/sports. I want to thank my friends at Evangeline Securities for being the title sponsor of the Dattitude podcast. You can find me at bet.NOLA.com. You can find our Saints Insider Pals at NOLA.com/sports/Saints. Again, I always find a replay of the show on NOLA.com/sports. Everyone, stay dry out there and do your best to have a fantastic weekend. And by the way, dudes, make sure you shower all the mothers out there with love and thanks. We don't exist without them, okay? We just don't. All this stuff you get to do doesn't happen without them. So give them a little love, give them a little thanks. You can do better than flowers, right? Try to. Just try your hardest. Well, we'll see y'all on Monday. Take it easy, my friends.
If you're looking for the latest scoop and in-depth interviews on the Saints, the NFL, the Pelicans, LSU, along with the best bets of the week, then lucky you. Along with high-powered, in-the-know guests who cover our teams, Jim Derry brings plenty of Dattitude. And he'll always tell you the way it is, or at least the way he thinks it is.